What's up, y'all? It's Otaku Tavern back at you with another video. Going to talk about another topic tonight, but if you like the type of content that I create, make sure you like, subscribe, click the bell notification so that you do not miss a video, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, so anyway, hope everybody is doing well. It's been all right for me, I guess. I mean, same as always, I reckon. But like, yeah, it's just you know, life throws curveballs and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, anyway, so tonight we're going to be talking about a topic that I kind of mentioned in a previous video, the last video that I did. I have to do some editing to that video, so it is not up at the moment. But we will get that back up momentarily. So, I'm kind of editing quite a bit of videos at the moment, so you'll just have to bear with me if you have not seen that. So, anyway, I've mentioned this topic before. I've not really went into depth about it, but tonight we're going to go into depth about it. And this is one of those topics, it's just, I don't know, it's really just disheartening and to have to deal with this kind of stuff. But like, anyway, yeah, like, subscribe, and all that, whatever. But yeah, so what we're going to be talking about today, or tonight, I should say, is the crabs in a bucket mentality. And how are you? Can we play soon? I'm doing all right, and yeah, we can definitely play soon. Hope you're doing all right. Hey, how's it going? But as I was saying, yeah, I'm going to be talking about the crabs in a bucket mentality. I mentioned this, like I said in my video, the one I just told y'all that I'm re-editing. That's not available right now. I mentioned this a little bit when I started talking about like legalism in Christianity, you know, and I'll probably be talking a little bit more about that in this video as well. So I'm gonna try to just not pull any punches here. So anyway, yeah, so, you know, you may be asking by the name, like, what necessarily is, like, the crabs in a bucket, like, mentality, right? Like, so basically, it's a metaphor, in a way, and basically what it means, it's for a toxic social dynamic to where the individual will sabotage, you know, the success of others to prevent them from rising above the so-called group, right? And I'm pretty sure by this definition, you probably may know where I'm headed with this when I'm talking about the church, and then, you know, as a Christian, things that I have seen and, you know, reasons I do not go to a public church. But I'm not perfect by no means, so, but yeah, so kind of like the crabs in the bucket mentality. So if you, okay, say like this, I want you to picture in your mind, say you have like 20 crabs in a bucket, right? and then let's just say that's your church congregation, or that's your family, or whatever you want to imagine it as, like that, right? So the crabs in the bucket, you know, your job is to what? Keep the crabs in the bucket, right? So if a crab tries to get out of the bucket, do you just let the crab out of the bucket, or do you sit here and try to say, no, you know, stay in the bucket, I'm keeping you in the bucket? That's exactly what you do. You try to keep the crab in the bucket, and that's the same way that this is I'm going to talk about is going to work with the things that I'm going to talk about. Now, this could be anything, really. And you, like, when I'm done talking about this, you'll probably sit here and be like, wow, like, I didn't realize how many people have this toxic mentality. Because, like, it's a lot. You know, I've dealt with this mentality a lot, right? And it's sad. It's really sad. But basically, you know, the single crab, if it tries to escape the bucket, which is you, okay, you know, no, there's going to be multiple crabs that will try to pull down the individual, correct? And, you know, trying to pull them down like the one that's trying to climb out of the bucket. And, you know, basically, let's just picture this as human beings, because this is what we're talking about. We're not talking about actual crabs, obviously. So, anyway, this kind of mentality is like a if I can't have it, neither can you kind of mindset as well. So, you know, this mindset basically, it thrives on jealousy and the belief that another's success might highlights their own, right? That it may be better than theirs, right? Like, now you see this in church all the time. You know, also the humans that are, like, obviously they're trying to keep you from crawling out of the bucket. They may try to criticize you, mock, belittle you. You know, they may try to discourage you and try to bring you back to the same level of mediocrity. They may try to bring you back to conformity. You know, oh no, you're not conforming, you know, to the rules. And, you know, when you do that, oh, you know, you can't do that, because if you do, you're going to have all these other crabs try to pull you down, right? And I don't get people who think like this. I've also dealt with it a couple of times with so-called friends. Oh yeah, dude, like I have dealt with this kind of mentality, not only from like so-called friends, not only from family, but I've dealt with it from complete, utter strangers. I've dealt with it from complete and utter people who are supposed to give advice that I've known. I've dealt with it through the church. I've even dealt with this through in relationships, right? Like, you know, it knows no bounds, basically. You know, it can be in any relationship, right? So, anyway, like, this whole thing with the crabs and the mentality butt thing, you know, that like if I can't have it, neither can you. It's also like, oh, if I can't do that, neither can you. You know, you see this a lot within politics. Both sides are constantly doing the crabs in a bucket mentality. Oh, you can't do this or you can't do that. You know, religious rules. You know, regardless of the so-called religion. You know, there's all these man-made rules. You know, within Christianity is what we're going to talk about. There's all these kinds of man-made rules, and they do not like it, especially if you are a man. If you are extremely confident that's a threat to them. They do not like that. And what I mean by that is, so I used to go to this one church, and I found out, it was a Pentecostal church, and I didn't really know much about stuff like that at the time. I was just kind of trying it out. And I found out that Pentecostalism, it is a cult. It is a literal cult. Yeah, man, it's rough and crazy. I feel for you. Yeah, it sucks. But anyway, at this Pentecostal church, and this also ties into legalism with the crabs in the bucket mentality as well. Like as far as like Christianity goes, right? So, anyway, I found out that this so-called like branch of Christianity was a cult. They are not really Christians. They sure, it may sound good on paper, it may sound good when it's being taught, but if you do not have discernment, you're obviously not going to be able to hear the doctrines of demons that you will hear through the Pentecostal movement. So anyway, getting back to the topic at hand, I used to go to this church, and there was this guy there, and he was really threatened by me. I don't really know why. But anyway, I found out why later on. And he had said that I am way too confident, and that I was not going by their man-made rules that was not in the Bible. I was not going by that. I was confident that, I'm going to be a Christian. I'm not going to go by man-made rules. They did not like that too much. The pastor did not like that too much. I ended up in several debates with them. They eventually stopped debating me over their false doctrines, like, having to speak in tongues to go to heaven when that's not even a gift anymore. Or, the topic of only Pentecostals go to heaven, or whatever it is, right? Or you can't do this, you can't watch that movie, or all this kinds of stuff. And it's like, there was this woman there, this ties into the story. There was this woman there, and she was preaching, which is, the Bible talks about that. I mean, I'm not going to talk about that really, but I'm sure, y'all know what it says about that. But like, anyway, so she was doing this thing, talking, trying to preach or whatever. It was a total disaster. But like, she started talking about Eminem, and she started talking about how he was a rock band. And I was sitting here thinking to myself, I was like, oh my gosh, if you're going to get your legalism going, you might as well try to do it right. Like, you might as well like get your facts straight. So I confronted this woman after this, and I said, first off, some of the stuff you said is very heretical. It is very, it does not align with Scripture. Like, even the pastor ended up coming over there trying to, get me to calm down, get me to stop, didn't want me to tell the truth, obviously. Just wanted me to just kind of, accept the dogma, not question it. And I told this woman, I said, first off, all rock music is not satanic. I said, there's actually quite a lot of Christian rock music, and I said, just because it's not about God does not mean it is satanic. I said, there are bands who talk about mental illness that actually help people. I'm sure, and I said, I'm sure you would say that's satanic, but, in all reality, it's not. And I said, and then the third thing, I said, if you're going to preach a message about stuff like this, you need to get your facts straight, because Eminem is not a rock band. He is a rapper. And, this woman was just looking at me like she knew she was being told off, basically. She knew that. And she was like, oh, I'm sorry, and it's like, no, I don't want your apology. I just wanted to let you know that you are speaking heresy. That's all I was coming up here to tell you because, I'm not, you may try to deceive this congregation or whatever, but you're not fooling me at all. And, after that, like, they had a lot of problems out of me. Like, they had a lot of problems out of me because I would not conform to their crabs in a bucket mentality, their legalism mentality, man-made rules mentality. I wasn't obeying. I wasn't being a good little boy, so to say, and not questioning the dogma. You see this in school as well. Just be a good little boy and sit down and obey and listen, or be a good little woman, or a good little girl and sit down and obey and listen. Like, no, I'm good, bro. I'm good. I knew Eminem was a rapper. Well, yeah, this person was saying that they was a rock band, and I was like, yeah, I don't even like Eminem, but like, at the same time, like, my ADHD and autism brain ain't gonna let something like that slide, regardless if I like it or not. But, yeah. Anyway, like she goes, well, his lyrics are filthy, and I don't think a Christian should listen to him. And I was like, okay, I can agree with you on that. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. Of course, his lyrics are filthy. I mean, he talks about a lot of messed up stuff. But I said, for you to come up here and say that rock music is satanic, you need a reality check. And, that's the same thing as satanic panic. And I ended up leaving the church after that because they just got to where they could not handle me. And I'm pretty sure they were glad to get rid of me. And, I expose the church still to this day. But, anyway, like, yeah, it's a crabs in a bucket mentality. So basically, not only do they want to try to control what you like, but say, like, with the rock music, she was not liking that I was saying that because I was not conforming to the crabs in the bucket mentality. I was crawling out of the bucket. And, she did not like that. And, like I said, she wasn't a real pastor anyway, right? But like, it was just, it was crazy, man. Like, the whole thing with the crabs in the bucket mentality is just, if you're doing better than them, if you're more confound in your faith, because a lot of these people, when they'll say they're really like confined in the faith, really grounded, rooted in the faith, but yet they talk about all this stuff that's not even really, some of the stuff like that's not even bad, like saying all rock music is satanic. That is literally the same equivalent of being stereotypical, right? Like, that's like saying all Christian music is good, or that's like saying that, every piece of chicken is good regardless if it's rotten or not. Like, it just makes no sense. And, this type of behavior, this human behavior is, the members who are trying to, like, pull you back down into the bucket, they want to reduce your self-confidence because they're not confident like that themselves. And not only that, but they do this out of envy, they do this out of jealousy, resentment, spite, conspiracy, or just being competitive. Like having competitive feelings in order to halt your progress, right? And, it's very stupid. Like, it makes, no sense why someone would want to be this way because, when they see their peers successfully climbing out of the bucket, You know, and what I mean by that is, say, like, you know, when it comes to church, right? Like, you know, there's church rules, you know, like, so, say one church may say, oh, thou shalt not watch horror films, right? Like, when the Bible doesn't say that, right? So let's say they do that, but if you walked up in here and you are just confident in your faith, you know, you go by your discernment, your convictions, and, you know, say like me, you know, I like Nightmare on Elm Street. I waltz up in there and I start talking, hey, you know, I like Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't get convicted. It doesn't make me doubt my faith in God. It doesn't make me put it before God. It doesn't make me, it just doesn't affect me that way. And when you say this, they hate that. They hate that. So they will start trying to tell you that you're going to hell, that you're not of God, or, oh, I'm going to have to pray for you, or, you know, some of the stuff like this that they say. And, you know, that's their legalism kicking in with the crabs in a bucket mentality. And the only reason I can think is because they're insecure about themselves, so they have to find ways to drag others down with them so they feel better. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly, you know, in spite what it is, really, because... But it's just a very disgusting mentality because, you know, this is a narcissist mentality. You know, we talked about a little bit about this before in another video, like I mentioned, and it's just... I don't know, bro. Like, it's weird. But, like, you know, they do not like that. And, you know, when you waltz up in there and say that, you know, it's not going to fly well. And another thing with the crabs in the bucket mentality is, the thing is you're not meeting their version of you that's in their mind. So I mentioned this in my last video that I did that I have to work a little more on before I finish the upload. But like, say you, like a lot of these people who like crap on poor people, right? Like, oh, they're on food stamps, they're on unemployment, Social Security, whatever, right? Like, these people, middle class mostly, what they will do is they will try to say, oh, you can do it, you know, regardless if you have severe mental health issues, right? Oh, you can do it. You know, oh, you can do all things in Christ who strengthens you, you know, this, and this. And it's like, you know, these people are not grounded and based in reality. Like, you know, I watched a video earlier last night, and it was about, you know, there was an old movie. The movie was fake, but, like, this was an actual real thing. And there is a case back in early, like, 1900s, right? Not early, no. The 60s or the 70s, my bad. I got it wrong. Pardon me. It was the exorcism of Emily Rose. And these Catholic bishops and priests thought this woman was possessed, okay? They were convinced she was possessed. She went through 67 exorcisms. And this girl had epilepsy. She had depression. She had anxiety. She had all these mental health issues. And she was taught, and she believed that the reason why she had this is because she was paying for her sins and the sins of others. So she was brainwashed into a crabs in a bucket, like, legalistic, like, satanic mentality. And, you know, this woman actually, these people, these Catholic bishops, and so they actually killed this woman in a sense because they were so busy performing exorcism on her, she literally ended up starving to death because they wouldn't try to get her to eat. Like, she weighed like 80-something pounds at the end of, like, you know, her life. And, you know, it's like, you know, like, what the actual heck, bro? Like, it makes you wonder, like, it's crazy because, well, yeah, I know, like, it's stupid. But like, you know, like that's the thing. A lot of these people like that within these churches, they think if you have mental illness, they think you're beneath them, and B, they think that you are demon possessed because you know all they care about is working, money, things of the world, like you know. Their status, you know, what people has, what they don't have, you know, and that's the thing, that's not of God, right? So these people, they have a crabs in a bucket mentality. When someone walks up in there and says, "Oh, hey, you know, I'm poor, I'm thankful for what I have, I don't need all this stuff. I don't work. I'm not able to, but I enjoy my life, and God is good." Oh man, dude, you're not prepared for that because if you know, I've seen this happen with my own eyes. I've seen it happen with my own eyes. It's happened to me even. So what they do is they will try to convince you to be the person they want you to be, right? You know, a person with high status, you know, and if you refuse that, they just try to hold you back. And if they realize that they can't hold you back, they will completely have nothing to do with you after that, right? So before they quit having stuff to do with you, a lot of times they will do the crabs in a bucket mentality. And you know, it's very sickening, honestly, really, to tell you the truth, because, like, I just don't understand this kind of type of mindset. Like, I watched a documentary on that case a while ago, and it made me feel sick. Yeah, like the story of exorcism of Emily Rose, that they literally thought that. And, you know, the thing is, these people were so obsessed in their delusions. They believe that, oh, you know, all, like, evil was running rampant because, you know, a person was depressed. Like, you know, this girl's life could have been saved even a couple of days before she starved to death, actually, if she had just been able to go to the doctor and get, like, extreme help. Like, she was on medication, and, you know, y'all know how I feel about medication, love stuff like that. I've talked about this before, so I'm not going to go over it again. But, like, you know, she could have been saved, but because of their crabs in a bucket mentality, they wanted her to be possessed so bad because they think they're just so holier than thou, and oh, I'm going to cast the demon out, and you know, trying to get like the demon to talk to them and stuff like that. It's like, you know, these people would not know a demon, the devil, an angel, or God if it was standing right in front of them. They literally wouldn't. I'm being honest with you. They literally wouldn't. Like, you know, if unless God, like, you know, unless God just reveals, oh, hey, by the way, I'm God. But like, if He was to keep that, they wouldn't even notice it, right? Like, but like, yeah, you know, it's a crabs in a bucket mentality because they kept wanting her to be demon possessed. They were convinced, oh, you're demon possessed. You know, well, I know you are. Like, and you know, it's like, you know, that woman's life could have been saved if she wasn't like had all these crazy people around her. Her family was crazy too. So the way that they believed and all of that, right? So it's like, you know, legalism and all that at its finest, right? So, but yeah, like the whole thing with the crabs in a bucket mentality is, you know, you're going to be you're going to be like really hurting, like, because this is something that a lot of people do, y'all. Like it really it's really, I don't know, it's really damaging. But like, say you are a Christian, a lot of times if you're changing, if you're getting closer with the Lord, if you're developing, they hate this. They hate this. And the reason why is because, sure, they go to church, they read the Bible at home. Look, you got to do more than that. You got to do more than that. Like, you know, sure, they may pray too. Here's the thing, though. Going to church, that can't save you. That has nothing to do with being a Christian. Reading the Bible and praying, very good start. Now, I'm not saying I'm a perfect Christian, by no means. I'm not. I have a lot I could work on, I'll be honest. But, like, you know, God wants to hear from you. You know, are these people praying for a lot of people? Well, here's the answer. Only if it benefits them. Only if it benefits their own class. And what I mean by that is, would they pray for a poor person? Yes, but not in the way that you're thinking. So, I'm pretty certain if, like, a person has mental illness, right, their prayer consists of, well, God, take that mental illness away so they can get out and get a job. Like, that's all they care about, right? Like, you have to conform in this Matrix B system, even for people in these so-called churches to like you, right? You know, and it's like, if you ain't doing the same thing as them, there's a problem. There's a huge problem. Like, if you're not doing the same thing, because that's how they want you to be. They want you to be like them. You know, and it's a weird mentality because, like, you know, and we live in a world, like, think about it if everybody was the same. Seriously, think about it if everybody was the same. That would be terrible. That would be absolutely terrible. But yet the crabs in a bucket mentality is very much like that. That's what they want. That, like, these certain kinds of people, they want you to be just like them. And, you know, they will try to sit here and say, oh, you know, even try to even tell you your destiny sometimes, even. Like, you know, oh, well, you're meant to do this. You know, don't lose hope. Don't, you know, it's like, and you damn well know that, you know, it's not for you, right? Like, you damn well know that it's not going to happen. It's just not in the cards for you, right? Or, no, it doesn't matter what you say to these people. You gotta stand firm, stay grounded. And if these people keep trying to, you know, change you, walk away. Simply walk away. Because, you know, arguing with them is not going to do anything. That's just them getting one up on you, right? Like, and as far as, like, this crabs in a bucket mentality stuff goes, it's extremely toxic, right? Like, people are doing this all the time. You know, and another thing, too, is they will try to mix gaslighting with this, too, a lot of people. They will try to put in gaslighting with it. We've already talked about gaslighting before on the channel. But, yes, they will try to mix gaslighting with this. And, you know, so say, like I mentioned before, you know, a Christian waltzing up and being like, you know, I'm confident in my faith. I'm a child of God. You know, all this stuff, you know, but I do like Nightmare on Elm Street now. Oh man, you're not like them. You're different. You've broke the man-made rules. You've broke the man-made covenant. Like you've completely broke all conformity. You know, and they do not like that. They feel threatened by you. So now that they can't be like this because most of them just want to work 24/7, you know, they're not able to be like this, and they do not want you to be like this either. They do not want you to be your best self. You know, and that's a problem within the in the church. And this is not an attack on Christianity, by the way. It's not. I'm a Christian. I'm just telling you, you do not have to go to church to be a Christian. You do not. But anyway, like, yeah, you know, Lord, you know, God forbid you go to church and, you know, you're different than them, you know, completely different than them. Oh no, you're all wrong. You're the problem. Something's wrong with you. Like, that's literally what they will put in your mind, right? And, or try to anyway. They will try to. But like, you know, it's like, you know, I've even had people tell me, like, before, you know, a lot of these people will be like, back when I was young, right, there was an old TV show when I was real young, and I loved it, and, they actually have a shirt of this at Five Below. I'm hoping I can get when I get over there, if it's there. But it's an old TV show that came on Cartoon Network in the 2000s. It was one of the classics, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. And this show featured like two kids and a Grim Reaper, and you know, like they was all friends and whatnot. And Christians were livid when this show came out, like the legalism Christians, because you know, that they did not like this at all. If you liked it, they was saying you're satanic, you're going to hell. Same satanic panic stuff, right? That same old, right? So, you know, now that you like this, and you know, even if you're a Christian, now, oh no, you can't do that because that's not in our man-made rules. You know, you're breaking our man-made rules. We do not like that. We've got to bring this person back down to the man-made rules, because, you know, if we don't, you know, this is a threat. This is a problem. And it's like, you know, look, bro, like, I don't care about your man-made rules. Like, you can honestly take your man-made rules and just shove them right up your butt, dude. Like, I really do not care about them. I see nowhere in Scripture that states that you cannot like a show with a Grim Reaper in it. Like, I see nowhere in the Bible does it state that. Like, it's just stupidity, people that want to control you, and that's what crabs in a bucket mentality is. It is a person who wants to control you. So, you know, a narcissist, you know, it's same thing. You know, these people, that's what they do. And a lot of these starting comments that, like, you know, will start like this conversation will be like, oh, well, why are you pushing yourself too hard? Or, you know, that's pointless. You're going to end up in the same place. Or they'll be like, oh, come on, be realistic. You know, it's like you're the most realistic one there, you know. And another one is, oh, there's no way that's going to work. You know, like all of these, like that's how this, a lot of times these crabs in the bucket mentality arguments will step up, right? Like, you know, they try to pull you back down because you're leaving the bucket, bro. Like, you are almost out of the bucket, and like your pinchers are hanging out of the bucket, bro. Like, I know that may sound kind of corny, but like, dude, your pinchers are hanging out of the bucket, and they do not like that. They do not like that one bit. Like, you know, I've had this happen to me a lot. And, you know, it just gets more agitating to deal with. Like, I don't know, like this behavior, honestly, dude, like, it's all about them. You know, your growth highlights, you know, like whatever growth you got towards, it highlights their stagnation. And, you know, the thing is like with the stagnation, you know, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that they're not growing at all. I'm just saying they're not growing enough. And, you know, because these people have got serious issues. A lot of them dislike the poor, you know, or someone who is not like them, so to say, or someone that's not of the same political party, whatever, right? Like, it's foolishness. It's craziness. It's stupidness. But, like, you know, it's all about them, and it highlights their stagnation. And you know, are they growing in God if they dislike the poor? Are they growing in God if they're like, oh, look at that person, they're on food stamps taking my tax dollars? Like, no, they're not. They are not like that. They're not growing, bro. Like, because if they were growing, they would stop thinking that. They would not be thinking that as a Christian, bro. Like, I can tell you that right now, they wouldn't. But like, and you know, here are two actionable steps that I'm gonna give. Honestly, you know, you got to be deliberate about who you let into your circle, obviously. You know, a lot of these people will betray you, you know, it's not worth it, right? And another thing is, you know, if someone moves like a crab, pinches like a crab, and pulls you down like a crab, they're a damn crab, bro. They are a damn crab. Like, I know that's like a kind of like a similar to a saying, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck kind of thing, it's a duck. You know, but like that, bro, that's literally it. I'll say it again, bro. Like, I mean, you know, you can't make this stuff up, bro. Like, you know, if someone does move like a crab and pinches like a crab, pulls you down like a crab, dude, they are a crab. Like, get out of the situation, dog. Like, just do not be in the environment that these people are. Like, avoid these small environments that breed crab mentality, bro. Like, political circles. If your people at the church are doing this, stop going. You know, try to find another one. Like, walk away at all costs. Yeah, like, you know, but like, avoid these kinds of like environments. You know, keep your friend circle small. You know, and the thing is like, you know, as far as legalistic stuff goes, bro, don't even pay any attention to that crap, bro. Like, sit there, do what you can for God. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something about this, bro. If you really are of God, now I'm not saying I'm perfect, bro. I'm not. I'm nowhere near it. I'm not sinless. None of that, right? But like, here's the thing, you know, when you got God, dude, you know, it's a lifelong process. He will transform you inside and out, bro. Like, I mean, you know, you let God do the work, man. Stop listening to men. Stop listening to them. Stop listening to these people that think they are so self-righteous and know better than you. Stop listening to these clowns, because as long as you listen to these clowns, they are going to hold you back. And, you know, a lot of these people, like I say this all the time, and it's so true. I think that in society, there needs to be a law. I don't care what president signs into law. There needs to be a law that is signed that all these people like this, narcissists, crabs in bucket mentality, you know, love bombers, breadcrumbers, all of them, any kind of toxic people, narcissists, all of them, they should be forced to, judgmental people, as in like legalistic Christians. Now, you know, sure, you know, you can judge righteously, but like, they're not doing that. So all these people should be forced to wear a clown nose and a clown suit every damn where they go. I don't care if it's the grocery store. I don't care if it's to the bank. I don't care if it's to the church. I don't care if it's even in their own home. They should be required to wear this, because it would really help us. You know, we wouldn't even have to get involved and get hurt or nothing. Like, we'd be like, oh, well, look at that. There's a group of clowns. Let's just walk away. Like, you know, like, I mean, it's just, that's honestly my personal opinion, but like, I mean, I guess that's probably too much to ask for, I guess, but, just kind of trying to lighten the mood, I reckon, but, yeah, like the whole thing with like the crabs in the bucket mentality, dude, it's very damaging, it's very toxic, and it's like, you know, it also breeds into religious trauma. Like, you know, I have a lot of religious trauma that I have spent a long time working through, and, you know, I'm not even all the way out of it. And, you know, I'm still a Christian, and it's like, you know, oh no, that's, That's, you know, what do you mean? You know, like, what do you mean? You know, and it's like, there they go, man. The clowns are back at it again. Here's the thing, bro. Stop blaming a clown for acting like a clown. Ask yourself why you keep going back to the circus, man. Seriously. Men and women need to do this. They need to ask themselves this. Why do I keep going back to the circus? These clowns they're just doing their job. They're acting like clowns, bro. I mean, seriously, like, these people do not change. None of them. They do not change. And, you know, here's the thing. Sure, they may give up some sins or whatnot, but, like, you know, here's the thing, bro. And I actually plan on talking about this in another video, and this may actually, like, kind of, like, make me lose some subscribers when I talk about this, but, like, the fact that, like, people would rather feed an animal than a human being disgusts me. It completely disgusts me. Like, oh, God forbid there is a cat that knows how to hunt, that knows how to do its God-given gift to hunt, or a dog or whatever. Oh, God forbid it's hungry. God forbid that, because, like, you know, these animals know how to hunt. They're not starving to death out in the woods, bro. They know what they're doing. They know how to hunt. It's in their nature to hunt, man. Like, that's the way God made them. But yet, you know, if it's a human being that's like this, say they're poor or homeless, and desperately homeless. I'm not talking about like some drug addict on the street that's willingly homeless. I'm talking about somebody that, like, you know, is just down on their luck, down in life, you know, all that kind of jazz, right? And no, you know what they do? They criticize them. They sit here and say, oh, well, you lazy bum, go get a job. You know, they'll say all this stuff, man, all this stuff. It's crabs in a bucket mentality, all of it, dude, every bit of it. Like, you know, because they want you to be who, it's all about status. It's all about all of this garbage that, like, people chase. And it just, I don't know, dude, it's sickening, bro. Like, it's completely sickening. But, like, yeah, I mean, anyway, I don't know. I guess this video is like stupid or something. I don't know. I guess I tried at least to talk about it. I guess it kind of turned on to a full-fledged rant, I guess. But, like, it's just, I don't know, bro. Like, it's just, it's disgusting, bro. Like, I don't understand why people want to be this way. Like, you know, like my neighbor, bro. Like, I'm not flexing. I'm not flexing at all, bro. I'm not saying I'm better than somebody else. But, like, you know, I have a neighbor, bro. Like, he's like autistic, bro. He's like in his 60s. And it's like, you know, every month, like, you know, I'm not rich. I'm not loaded, bro. Like, but, you know, every month, you know, like, I try to help him out. I really do. Like, you know, whether it's like with food or whatever, you know, and he's done the same for me, man. Like, you know, if I've needed some like paper towels or some cheese or something, he'll come over here and bring it over here, bro. Like, you know, I mean, even though I hate when he does that, but it's like, you know, I get it. He's doing it because I help him out. And, like, you know, I like it if it's something that I won't eat, like, you know, macaroni and cheese or something, like, I give it to him, bro. Like, you know, and I'm not doing it to flex. I'm not doing it to look good. I'm doing it because that's what God wants me to do. I'm doing it because that's what God tells me to do. You know, I'm just helping out a fellow autistic person. Like, you know, like, it's just, you know, and I can tell he really appreciates it. And, like, you know, I always invite him, like, every month, you know, I'll invite him to dinner, like, once or twice a month, most of the time. And, you know, because he doesn't really have anybody. He's a single man. He doesn't really have anybody, and he's got people that are using him. You know, all this kind of stuff. So it's like, you know, I'm giving him somebody to talk to. You know, I mean, he's not into the same things as me, bro. Like, when it comes to, like, you know, like all this anime and video games and stuff. You know, he likes movies. We talk about some movies, but, like, and some other stuff, but, like, you know, he's not into that stuff like I am. But like, you know, I'm just doing the Christian deed, bro. Like I'm doing it because the Lord wants me to. I'm not doing it because I'm trying to look good. Like, I don't give a squat about that, bro. Like, I don't care if it makes me look bad or good. I really don't, bro. Like, and it's just like, you know, yeah, bro, like, I'm gonna help him out, you know, like, he's a pretty cool dude, you know. But, yeah, it's just, yeah, bro. Like, these people that have this crabs in the bucket mentality, though, man, these people are not going to change. Stop expecting these people to change. They're not going to stop. They really won't. They really won't. And, you know, it's sad but true. I absolutely agree with you when it comes down to... No. I actually agree with you when it comes to these kinds of people. Don't question it. Once you spot the clear red flags, it's time to get out 100%. Yeah, dude, yeah. Sorry, that red 100 threw me off. I don't know why. Anyway, yeah, dude, like, you're completely right, man. Like, because... But here's the thing, bro, like, you know, a lot of people don't. They sit there and take the disrespect. Like, they will literally sit there and just take the absolute disrespect. And it's like, you know... Nah, bro, I'm not doing that. I'm not taking that. I'm not taking no disrespect from nobody, man. I don't care who it is. But, like, But yeah, man, like, stay clear of these red flags. I mean, I guess this video's stupid. I don't know. Yeah, I tried, I guess. But, like, yeah, dude, if you like some of these topics I've been talking about lately, and you kind of want to feel free to comment a topic for me to talk about, then... if I know about it, I'll talk about it. I mean, if I don't, I guess I would have to educate myself, I guess. But, I kind of prefer to talk about the topics I know about, so... No, this topic was great to talk about. Thanks, I guess. But it's like, yeah, I mean, I've dealt with these people so much, and... I don't know, it's ridiculous, and... I don't know. Yeah, anyway, I guess it's gonna end this one here, I guess. Yeah, like, you know, it's crazy, but one of my next topics I'm gonna talk about as well is how there is nothing to look forward to anymore. And when I'm saying, when I say this, I'm not talking about a good game. I'm talking about, like, in a society sense. Like, there's nothing good to look forward to. Like, when it comes to relationships, you know, stuff like this. And, you know, I'm not trying to be like a Debbie Downer or anything. Like, I was actually watching a guy today that said the same thing. And it's like, you know, I'm going to say it too, because, like, it's so true. Like, I'm not trying to be that. Like, you know, go enjoy, like, your weekend you're about to have, right? Like, you know, if you're gaming, enjoy your games, right? Like, I mean, I know I will. I mean, I'm not going to let these people out here, you know, at least I'm going to try not to let them get me down anyway. Yeah, that's hard. That's easier said than done, you know. You know, but, like, yeah. Anyway, never stop speaking your truth. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Like, yeah, I'm trying, bro. Like, man, I guess you just get discouraged at times, but, like, yeah. Thanks, Rosa. Yeah, anyway, I'm also planning on talking about, like some different things too. Like I'm thinking about talking about like, you know, people that I used to know. Like, and what I mean by that is like people that I once called friends, people that I thought were friends, so on to so forth. Like I think about talking about stuff like that as well. I mean, why not? There's other people that do it, so yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna end this one here. So, yeah, God bless you all, and I will see you all next time. Peace.